mean operating expenses?
Operating expenses.
Oh, well,
So let me grab my book here so I can.
that's some of the things that
Thank you, Ashley. So let's pull out Form D. And you're going to have operating expenses or direct expenses. Direct expenses come in two different ways. Do you remember which ways they come? Two categories.
Fixed and variable.
Fixed and variable. Kevin, you get an extra movie pass. It's a bromance. Okay. In the book, if you look, I guess it's page 93 for you, it's 94 for me. It says, item, vehicle expense. Is that variable or fixed?
fixed,
So how much is it?
2,000.
So on your sheet, Form D, what's the first thing you do? Write the total sales up in the upper right-hand corner. Right here where it says vehicle expense, there are two categories, column 1 and column 2. Excuse me. Column 1 is the item description. 2 and 3 are the different expenses. Remember this, variable expenses are always going to be a percentage. Fixed are always going to be $1. So vehicle expense is $2,000, you'd go in column 3. Column 4 is the combined, or adding them both together. So we're going to take 2 plus 3 equals 4. So what is column 4, total expenses for vehicle?
$2,000.
$2,000. All right. Licenses and permits. What is that?
2,000.
2,000. Is it fixed or variable?
Fixed.
Fixed. So licenses, for example, if you need a health permit, it's $200. It doesn't matter what your business is. It's $200. You need a business license. It's going to be $1,000. Insurance is going to be 1% of your total business.
So 203,
And what column does it go in?
4.
No. Goes in column 2, doesn't it?
Wait, so insurance is 1% of the variable cost of the total sales?
That's correct. So you're going to take 1% times A up in the corner.
So the total cost would then be,
4. 1%. Okay, so here we are. The first two we looked at were vehicle and licenses. They were fixed, so they would go in column 3. Okay, the next one we looked at was insurance. It's 1% of the total. So you'd put 1% of that, which is what, 200-something thousand? Plus the fixed, which is 0. So in column 4, it's going to be the same number as 200,000.
so 203,000, 875.
Correct.
So that's going to go in column 4.
Correct.
Okay.
The next one is office expenses. We're going to make that fixed, even though it's a variable, because what we're going to say is, okay, I'm going to buy $2,000 worth of office expenses and nothing more. So you're going to get your toner, your papers, your pens, everything at the beginning of the year, and we're not buying anything else. Exterminator, pest control, $2,000, fixed. We're going to pay this guy $180 a month. He's going to come out, he's going to spray the stadium, and he's going to set mouse traps. And then miscellaneous other expenses, here's where it gets interesting. What's interesting about miscellaneous other?
It's fixed and variable.
Fixed and variable. So you're going to have to put in the 3% in the column 2. Then you're going to have to put the 3,000 in column 3. Then you're going to add 2 plus 3, and it's going to tell you what your total is in column 4.
So you just find whatever 3% is and add 3%?
That's correct. So what's 3%
Of A.
of A?
$611,600.
That would go in column 2, right next to miscellaneous other. You see, Marley?
Column 2 or column 4?
Column 2.
Wait.
So that's as a number amount,
That's right.
not as the percentage?
Correct.
Okay, so,
So what you could do, where it says miscellaneous other, you could put a 3% right behind that. and then put in the number of 611, and then you have to put in 3,000 in column 3
So you add 3,000
to the 611.
and then that goes in column.
Column 4, correct. So far, if we did vehicle expense, we would take 2,000 plus 0 equals 2,000. Licenses, we would take 2,000 plus 0 equals 2,000. If we did insurance, it's 1% or, what was it, 2003? Plus 0 equals 2,203,000. Trash removal was just 3,000 plus 0. Supplies, 1%. Or 2,203,000 plus 0. You got it? What's our total? We're going to add all that up. So you're going to take B as a percent should be 5%. It's in the book. Fixed expenses should be 14,000. It's in the book. What is 5% of 20 million?
1,019,375.
So you're going to put that where it says B dollars, and then you're going to add your 14,000, and you're going to come up with D.
Wait, how did you do B dollars again? 5% times
The total, A.
A, okay. 5%.
1,033,375.
Right.
B dollars. Would we put that at D or underneath it?
I would put it where it says dollar amount D.
Then wait, you got D by adding the. is it
D,
C
okay.
and
The reason it looks a little strange is because B is always a percentage. Remember, variable's a percentage. And we total the percentages. So the first B with a percent is 5%.
then- Yes, have that.
But we need to know the dollar amount. What is 5% of 20 million? So
Of
that's what goes in the B dollar.
Yes.
So we're going to take B dollar plus C dollar equals D dollar.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. If it was that simple or not.
And the C dollar is the total amount of all the fixed.
Right. And if I've added it up, 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 3 is 7, plus 2 is 9, plus 2 is 11, plus 3 is 14,000.
So we're excluding the variable, the ones.
That's
that are
right.
variable.
See, in the book you got two categories. You either got fixed or you got variable. So the fixed is 14,000. The variable is 5%. 5% equals 1 million?
1,000,000.
Yeah, 1,019,000.
Yeah.
370.
So we add the 1,019,000 plus the 14,000, and you should have 1,033,000 and something.
370.
375. Now, in the real world, if we went back to the format, you remember when I gave you the format piece? We had a lot of these, okay? All I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get you to understand how to do this. So if you get out in the real world and somebody asks you to put together a budget, you're going to know that it's either fixed or variable. I can also call them controllable or non-controllable. Non-controllable is a fixed cost. Doesn't matter what you do, it's going to be there. Controllable is a variable cost. You can make it go up or down depending on how well you manage. But you see how many categories there are? I just try to keep it simple for you just so you understand the method.
Yeah, this one was easy.
What's that?
This one was easy.
Yeah,
Definitely
definitely
was a
easier,
lot
definitely a lot
easier.
easier.
Okay, let's go back. What did I say? A,
B are the hardest.
then got B, a little harder. C was the most difficult. What did I say about D? Whole lot easier. Okay, let's go to E.
How's E going?
With you, I don't know, but everybody
That's
else will probably
fair.
think it's easy. I'm kidding.
You are just so.
You just said that to a dyslexic person.
Ruthless.
Know that.
I did?
You sure did. Yeah.
Okay,
She's strong.
I apologize.
Good job.
You're doing great.
We're all family.
Thank you.
You're doing
You
fine,
encouraged me.
Rachel. Form E. Form E is on page 94. It says other charges. So when we do business in this environment, we typically have three types of accounts. First one is an owner account. Say they manage it themselves. The second one is what we call a compensation account or management, food management group comes in and manages. So if my company, Larry-Etter Inc., went to a particular facility, like the FedEx Forum, I would say I'll pay you 42% of my total sales if you let me do business here. Okay? Some companies might say I'll pay you 45%. Somebody else might say I'll pay you 38%. So then you have to decide which is the best company, who can make me the most money. So then you look at sort of pro formas and stuff. So in this particular case, this is a management account. Then you have what we call management fee. So the AutoZone Park is what we call a management fee, where the owner takes responsibility for all the cost, all the expenses, and they pay the management company a set fee, such as $50,000 a year. So they pay for all the labor, they pay for all the hot dogs, they pay for all the direct expenses, they pay for everything because they want to control the pricing, they want to control the type of hot dogs. So, for example, I think they sell King Cotton hot dogs. King Cotton hot dogs, good hot dogs?
Never heard of them.
Never heard of them. Okay, they're in the retail market. So if you go into Kroger's, you're going to see King Cotton hot dogs. King Cotton says, I'll give you a $10,000 sponsorship, okay, but you have to use my hot dogs in the stadium. Well, that might be good for AutoZone Park getting the $10,000, but King Cotton hot dogs cost $14 a piece. So as the operator, that's not good for me, right? So this is where a management fee deal comes in. The owner can sell the sponsorships, keep the money, pay whatever price, but me, the operator, I'm going to be guaranteed a profit. I typically would set some standards that if my food cost was lower than the budget, that I would get a percentage. If the labor cost was lower than the budget, in other words, we manage things well, we turn the lights out, we send people home, we schedule the right number of people, I would get a little bonus or kicker at the end. So that's what you call a management fee. In this case, it says 42%. What's the first thing you do on Form E?
Write the sales.
It says rent, sales. Okay? What you would typically do is put, for example, concession sales, where you might put bar sales or skybox or catering. And the reason these sales might be different, people got kind of tricky. Early on, people would just bid a straight percentage, like 42%. But then they said, hey, how could we make our bid look better than everybody else's and still do 42%? So they would figure out something like this, okay, 20 million. And they say, okay, here's what I'll do. I'll pay you 50% on concessions, and I'll pay you 30% on catering, and I'll pay you 42% on beer. Would you be excited? How much am I paying on concessions?
Still paying that 42%.
When it's all melded together, it still turns out to be 42%. So
It
what
just
does people reading it see first?
They see all the different numbers.
Well, they see 50% on concession sales. That's a good number, and catering isn't that much, right? So we don't really care about the 30% because it's not a majority of the business. 75% comes from concessions. So that's why you have these different categories in here. So you see Roman numeral number 1, rent. In this case study, what is the rent? Straight. So you'd say sales is 20 million, 387, 500.
At 42%.
At 42%. No, it's got to be more than that. It's got to be like 8 million something.
8,562,750.
You multiply it, right?
Yep. 20,387 times 0.42% should be 8 million.
562,750.
Okay. So Marley, because I always am impressed with you thinking outside the box, why did I put in 4 different categories?
Just to show that, in case there's more expenses or other charges for rent, that's when you would put it there, but for this case, we're just gonna drop it straight down.
That's exactly right. You got it. Thank you. So, for example, if we do catering or skyboxes, there are chafing dishes, there are tablecloths, there are linen napkins, there are flowers, there's all kinds more expense, okay, that eats away at our profitability. So we would assume that the food cost in catering is going to probably be somewhere around 35%. Labor cost, because we have skilled laborers, is going to be higher. So our operating expenses are going to be higher, so we can't pay that much in rent. So typically you'll see them pay somewhere between 10 and 15% in rent for catering. Typically beer, you pay more, because beer is pretty simple. It's either packaged or draft beer, and that's all you're selling, and you're moving a lot of it. You might see beer at 50%. You might see concession sales at 32%, 35%. Okay? That's why we take, where's my pro forma? That's why you take this pro forma and you look at the history. Remember I said the historical data? We're going to study that. We're going to look and see what are the beer sales? What are the catering sales? How's this going to break down? If I'm taking an account and 50% of the sales are in catering, that tells me that 50% of my sales are very high cost. High labor, high food, all of that. I can't bid 42% if 50% of my sales are in catering. If I see 90% is in beer, I can bid 50%. That make sense? So you have to read this very thoroughly. You have to see what kind of events are in there, and so forth and so on. All right. Now, so where it says total rent, what's that number? 8,500,000? You put that down, right? And the percent, what's the percent?
42.
That's easy. But if we added them all together, it might be a blended version. So it might not be 42%. All right, then it says other. So let's look at other. Depreciation, $100,000. Now on your sheet it shows $1 million divided by 10 years. So do you know what depreciation is?
Wear and tear.
Like wear and tear, exactly. I buy a brand new freezer. It costs $10,000. It's supposed to last 10 years. So I take that $10,000 divided by 10, and it's $1,000 a year I get on that freezer as credit. That's depreciation. So in this particular case, what it looks like to me, someplace in here, it probably would say, in your case history, it's going to say, we're going to make $1 million investment, and we're going to have a 10-year contract. So you take $1 million divided by 10 equals $100,000 a year depreciation. That make sense? Rachel? You got it? Okay. I'm not going to leave you out.
Thank you.
And then we have administrative charges, $100,000. What are administrative charges?
So like, I don't know, like
Maybe like
maybe,
gift cards or coupons.
Is it like taxes?
hold on, what is it when you like medical leave and stuff like that, or
I feel like it's
pension?
like
HR?
administrative salaries.
Sort of, yes. So here you are, we have this big company, Sports Service, for example. They're headquartered in Buffalo, New York, but they have a stadium in Cincinnati and in St. Louis and in Memphis and in Los Angeles, and that's the headquarters. Headquarters is there working, but they have no revenue. Where do they get the revenue? They peel off a piece of every one of the accounts, which is called administrative charges. So we're going to contribute back to the home office $100,000 so we can pay the president, the chief financial officer, the HR guy, the salespeople. All those people need to get a salary. We have to have operating expenses, so that's what that is. So let's total other. We have $100,000 in depreciation, $100,000 in administrative charges. What's the total?
200,000.
Okay. If you wanted to figure that out, it's a percentage you could, out to the side. So you could take $100,000 divided by the 20 million, that would tell you the percentage. Or you could take the 200,000 divided by the total, and I think that's about 1%.
Divided by 4%.
You take 200,000 divided by 20,387,500. What is that?
4% or 4.9%, so 5%.
Are you sure?
You do 100,000 divided by, or
It's 0.5%.
0.0049.
Yeah. It's 0.5%.
okay, I moved the decimal too many times.
Okay.
So would you round that, or would you do?
Well, what I would tell you this, I'd go to the total where it's 200,000. Take the 200,000 and divide it by 20,387,500, and what is that number?
I got .0089.
Yeah, so it's 0.98% or 1%. I would round it to just a 1%. Yep. Okay, that's E, we're done. So is that easier than D?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, you only have two numbers. Really, you're only gonna figure out whatever the percentage is.
Yeah, they give you all the numbers except for,
So you gave us another Form A, and I have a Form C from last class. Are these just extras? Or-
Uh-huh,
I mean-
because I'm gonna tell you why. Before you leave, you'll know why. All right, now we have to go to Form F. Do you have Form F?
no.
You do in the book. Here, you wanna pass these out for me? Form F is the summary.
So we just pull.
Form F, all you're going to do on Form F is look at all your other forms and fill in the blank. There's no math, it's just fill in the blank. So this has got to be easier than anything you've done so far. Okay, so what are the annual sales? Where do you find those?
Form A.
Form A, very good. Thank you. And as a percent, what is a percent?
What do you use, the percent annual sales?
Okay, Roman numeral number 1, annual sales, 20,387,500.
Yes.
That's 100% of the sales.
Oh, duh, okay.
21.37%.
Cost of sales, what is that? That's going to be Form B. And it should be D. Okay? Column 5, D.
$4,356,000.
Right, put that in. What is gross profit? Gross profit is annual sales minus the cost of sales. So if you go to Roman numeral number 3, gross profit, you take 1 minus 2 equals 3. That's good math, isn't it? 1 minus 2 equals 3.
On Form B?
No, go to F. We're on F.
Right, I know. You're saying.
Cost of sales,
Okay,
you find on Form B.
yeah.
So
It's D. So the letter D on Form B. And the percent should be what you put down for E on Form B. So it's 21.37%. Am I right?
Yes.
That's what we're doing is filling in the blanks. Now you do have to do some math. So to figure out gross profit, we're going to take total sales and we're going to subtract the cost of goods. And the cost of goods was 4 million something. Let's see.
So 16 million.
You lost?
30,000.
Yeah.
I was writing down like
That's
the
what I got.
formulas like as I'm going. So I have annual sales at 100%, and I have cost of sales 4 million.
Right. That's so if you look at go back to Form B
Okay,
and look at E. What is E?
21.36.
There you go.
And gross profit is 16 million.
Gross profit should be 16 million and something.
Hmm?
What is that as a percentage?
Yeah, for number 2, then for number 3, it would be 78.
To get that
That's
as a
right.
percentage, you would divide it by 20 million.
70.
You could, or you could do the same thing on the percentage side. 100% minus 21.37.
Okay.
And Rachel has it right. She's the first one to get it.
It's just 100 minus 21.37, because if you're doing the columns like that,
Right.
then that's,
Now, if you want to check your math, you could look at E, okay, on Form B, and then you could look at that number and see if they match.
78.63.
Yeah, 78.63.
Okay.
yeah, it's just 100 minus.
All right, let's go to Roman numeral number 4, labor cost.
It's Form C.
Form C, management salaries. I remember it was 241,800. And then hourly wages. That was on the second page, and I think it was J. G, it was G. G,
2,344,000.
That's right.
Wait, 2 million?
go to G on Form C.
On the second part of Form C?
That's correct.
I'm on G, should I have 15?
So the total payroll would be the total annual
Oh, it's
payroll
this?
cost.
Oh,
That's right.
Pardon me?
Total payroll is the total annual payroll cost.
Total payroll is going to be management salaries plus hourly wages. If I remember correctly, it was 2,500,000 and something
Yeah.
thousand.
That's what
total annual.
it is. Payroll.
Okay, where do you find the PR related cost?
It's K.
That's K,
33,000.
33,000. You could have, total labor is going to be the 2.5 plus the 33,000.
Which is
Or
L.
it's L, that's exactly right. All you're doing is filling in L.
And those percents are the same as the
Uh-huh.
corresponding percents?
Yep.
I'm sorry, what were the percentages?
She's asking about the percentage. So you
It's
could
the same
take
as
total.
on the page on
Yep,
here?
yep.
Okay.
And we're not looking for the PR related percentage?
We don't really care. We just want to be sure we include it in our budget. How are we doing in the back row? You good, Karen? All
What
right.
did we give for K's percentage on,
We didn't,
It was 12.85 if I remember correctly.
for K,
for K? The
That was
33,852?
We didn't find a
the
percentage.
12.85 was J.
It was J? Okay, my bad.
We
So
didn't,
what?
we didn't bother with K. Because it
So
was
we don't
something.
have-
Yeah, it was, okay, so it should be pretty close though, because 33,000 on 20 million is virtually nothing. So if you did it, it's going to be 12.9%.
Okay.
Roman numeral number 5, direct expenses. Okay, that's going to be D. What were the fixed?
14,000.
14,000. What was the variable?
1,019,375.
All you're doing is plugging in numbers.
14,000. And you said the variable
Total
was
direct
D.
expenses, you add them both,
Yeah,
correct?
1,019,375.
Oh.
Wait. You said variable was what?
Variable's 5%. It was 1,019,000.
Yeah, 375.
375.
Wait, I wrote that down wrong, I think. 1 million, okay, so the dollar D is the total times 5%,
Nope. So if we go to Form D, you on Form D?
Form D,
Okay, go down to where it says B, and there's a percentage. That's 5.
5.
You take that 5% times A, and that's going to give you the dollar amount, B dollar amount.
Okay.
That's
And what was it?
1,015,000,
19,000.
1,019,375.
Yeah.
Okay, I had that written down wrong.
Okay?
And so you put that
Then-
as the 5%?
And then C is going to be 14,000. So on Form F, where it says fixed, that's 14,000. Where it says variable, it's 1,019,375. To get the total, you add fixed and variable together.
Is that D on here?
It's going to be this line right here.
Total direct.
Total direct expenses.
Okay. I
Oh,
was
but
wondering
yeah,
about
but on
that.
Form D, it's that big number?
Yes, should be the same number as D, exactly.
For operating profit?
Nope, hold on.
Total direct.
What is that as an expense as a percentage?
I got 5.1%.
That's right, 5.1%.
Is that out of that, the?
Yeah, you're gonna take that 1,033,000, whatever it is, divided by 20 million, and it turns out to be 5.1%.
So D is what goes in total direct expenses?
That's correct.
Okay.
So now we come to Roman numeral 6. How do we figure out what that is?
Operating profit.
Operating profit.
So we
Is that bench?
divide that by.
Nope. we're going to take 3, Roman numeral 3, gross profit. You're going to subtract total labor and direct expenses, and that's your operating profit.
So, gross profit minus,
Labor and direct expenses. You might want to write that down. That's a simple formula.
Minus labor
And that's why I'm telling you, if in fact you had created, you could create a spreadsheet that would do all this for you. And all you do is put the numbers in, and it spits out everything, and there's no chance of you making a mistake, because the computer's going to do the math.
So 12.
And in real life, when you go to a real life operation, you're not going to have your cell phones out doing math.
Essentially, just 830.
Yeah, I'll have a calculator.
I think I've decided I like this.
It is good. Well, I like to have chocolate at least.
So technically, you would add together labor and direct expenses, and then.
And subtract that from,
Okay, just making sure.
Gross profit.
Doing that right in my head.
I got like a,
I got 12,377,000
that, yeah.
103.
say it out loud.
12,377,103.
Everybody get that?
I got,
I got 102.5.
I got
How did you get 102.5?
132,137.74.
It's not a percentage.
I'll do it.
I didn't write it as a percent. I mean, I got the 12,377, 102.5.
Yeah, that's correct. What did you say? I thought you said
No, I
1.2.
Well, I was just adding on to what she said at the end.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah.
Thank you. So your operating profit, now here's what we just decided. What we just determined, and we're going to tell our boss, is that when it's all said and done, after we paid for the materials, the training, the labor, the equipment, remember the 5 M's? After we've paid for all of that, we have $12,800,000 left, right? Is that good or bad?
Good. Yeah.
Depends on what.
Wait, so what's the question?
Depends on the standard.
Thank you.
Okay.
So did we find out what the operating profit was?
It's
Mine's backwards, so I'm sure I'm wrong.
12,377,103.
I got
That's
137.74.
So you did something wrong.
Okay, so it's 16.
What did you get, Jessica?
Minus.
Oh, I did 691. I did not get the writing.
I got 12. something.
12,377,102.
Oh,
103.
103 because you rounded it up.
and
And
that's
then as a
operating
percentage,
profit?
60.7.
60.7%.
That is
Excellent.
Yes, operating profit.
I didn't finish writing the equation.
92, okay.
I mean, like, honestly, unless, like, as long as, if the test questions are in decimal points, cool, but if not, like,
They're going to be in decimal.
because I'm a rounder.
Okay.
Like, I like whole numbers.
I want you to
You know
round.
about me, I'm not
Okay.
a writer.
The answers will be in 2 decimal places, and it will be rounded to the second decimal place.
Okay.
So what's your total labor? 2,620,178.5.
2,620,214, because you add 241,
The 2 million.
241,800 to this, you did that. And then you add that and get that.
Hot shot
And this
coffee.
is from,
You add what?
you add your 33,852 from Form D.
I'm confused.
From Form C, look.
Ariel, what's the question?
I'm stuck on figuring out the operating profit because I'm getting a different number, so I'm trying to figure out where I went wrong.
Yeah, you just had your numbers written down on. Do you want to look at mine?
Yeah.
Rachel, you okay?
Yeah, I got it. I got
Good.
the right number and everything.
Good. Maybe I should start picking on Ariel and leave you alone, huh?
I know, me too. You're missing a 0.5 on some of these, I think.
Yeah, I didn't move point 50 cents.
Okay.
All right, so what we now know is that we've got $12,377,000 excess. So we feel like we're in pretty good shape. Now, we're gonna go to other charges. That's Form E.
And that's a rent, all the rent,
Yes, depreciation is how much?
100,000,
100,000. What's rent?
8 million,
8,562,000
562.
something.
Let me write.
Yeah, sorry.
So all you're gonna do is take Form E, where it says depreciation, put in depreciation, 100,000. Where it says rent, 42%, you're gonna put in 8,500,000, whatever the rest of the numbers are.
Yeah.
Other, what goes there?
Admin charges,
Admin charges, so it would be 100,000.
and then you just add all those.
You add those together, which is, oh, in fact, the same number as right here.
So other was.
The 12.
So if you go to Form E, we did the total, right?
The direct expense.
We had total rent, we had the 200,000 to it. That's what this is gonna be, total other charges. So it's 8,700,000 something.
And then you just add all those together,
What do you mean add them all together?
the depreciation, the rent. the-
Yes,
Where'd you say that number was? I have it.
Yeah, where-
should be 8,760
But
something.
where did you say that was
762,
also at?
758.
It's not on Form E. If you put it on Form E, you'd put it down next, just above instructions. So you would take total rent, and then you take total other charges, add those two together and put it underneath the box.
So once we get total of the charges, then we subtract operating.
That's exactly right. So now you're gonna take your total operating expense, which is Roman numeral number 6, and you're gonna subtract 8,762,000 and whatever the balance is. And that's gonna tell you net before taxes.
Is
Of
that
your
from-
operating profit? Say that one more time.
We're gonna take Roman numeral number 7, operating profit. If I remember correctly, it was 12,500,000?
377,102.
377 what?
102. Yeah, 102.
And then you're gonna subtract total other charges from that, which was 8,700,000,
762.
762, 7 something.
So operating profit minus other charges.
Right, equals Roman numeral number 8.
3 million.
Net profit before taxes.
Okay.
So 3,614,344.
I got 352.
I got,
3,614,353, that's what I got.
yeah, that's what I got. 352.5.
Say it one more time.
Yeah. Okay, so you had a couple of dollars in there that got,
3,614,353, but I didn't do, back on my whatever form it was, I didn't do the 50 cents that y'all were.
that's not a big
So
deal.
102.
When you talk about 50 cents against 20 million, it's,
Yeah,
it's like
that's why I did
dust.
103.
It's not even, yeah.
Okay.
Now we have to figure out the percentages, okay? So what are total other charges as a percentage?
42.98%.
42.98, very good. Very good.
And you would do that by.
Now what is the net before taxes profit? It was 3 million and something, you're gonna divide that by 20 million and tell me what that number is.
17.72%.
How did you get the 40? I know we have 42%, but you said it was like 42.
42.98.
Decimal points.
42.98.
Yeah, but did you get the 42% from the total rent over
Yeah.
here on?
No, you do
No.
that by the total sales. You
When you're
divide
doing the
the total
percentage.
other charges divided by the total sales. Every single percentage, you divide it by the total
The
sales.
20 million.
Okay.
So go back and look at
So it's just
Roman numeral
one
number
cent,
7,
42. Okay.
and it says total other charges, that's 8,700,000 and something thousand. Divide that by the 20 million, and that's
Yes.
gonna be 42.98%.
Yes.
So for operating profit percentage, did anybody get 60%?
Yes, it's 60 something percent. Am I right? 60.7?
What?
Operating profit?
Yeah.
60.7, yes.
So the net before taxes is 3 million, how much?
614.
614.
So
You
that's
divide-
the ultimate goal. is to get to the net income.
Right. Yeah, because remember, Marley, you're gonna go in and you're gonna tell your boss, I want this account. And he's gonna say, well, how much money is it gonna make for us? And you're gonna be able to go back and say, they've got X number of football games, and so many college games, and so many soccer games, and it's a $20 million account, okay? And that per cap is 14.3. And our other stadiums, we run about 14. So this is a good number, okay? And our food cost is going to be about 21.3%. And our operating expenses are going to be this. And our labor is going to be 12.85%. And right now they're paying 42%. So what's the total profit as a percentage?
17.7%.
17.7%. Is that good or bad?
Depends.
On the
Depends on the
standard.
standard.
So here's why that's important. If the standard profit is 12%, okay, and this account is going to make 17%, and we want it really bad, and they're currently paying 42%, we want to be competitive in our bid, right? What could we offer as a percentage and still make our 12%?
Service with a smile.
You tell me we're going to make 17.7%? 17?
Yeah, it's like 17.7.
Okay? Profit. Okay? The standard, okay, is 12%. How much can we offer extra and keep the account? Kevin? 5, right. We're 5% above our standard, so we can add 5% to what number?
But
42. So we could take 42 plus 5, and still by maintaining our standard profit, we could end up paying 47%, which is a whole lot better than 42. You're leaving before I gave you